Hello, everyone. It's the Doctor. I hope everybody is enjoying their day. It is the Doctor, and we've got a brand new ship to show you today. I am quite excited about this, and once again, thanks to MC Rudolph for this ship. Without him, I would not have it to show you today. So in a past video, I showed you one of the Undine ships. It was the Mako, and it was on my tactical character because it is an escort type ship. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that ship a lot. Well, now I finally have the other one, the Dromias Bio-Cruiser. That's right, the Dromias. This is the engineering-esque, cruiser-esque Undine ship. I'm just going to go here quick to the exchange and see if I can search it. We'll find out how much it is if you're interested in it. There you go, 96 millions. But I will leave this up because I'm going to go over the specifications and read about it right now. The Dromias Bio-Cruiser has increased durability over its smaller Mako counterpart without sacrificing much in the way of maneuverability or versatility. Dromias Bio-Cruisers are equipped with a console universal fluidic conduit projector. By deploying a specialized quantum singularity, the dimensional walls that separate our space from fluidic space can be weakened to allow a leak that brings fluidic matter into our space. Modulating the singularity along a specific frequency allows these bubbles of fluidic space to have a negative impact on enemy vessels, damaging and crippling their effectiveness in combat. Rank required: Rear Admiral, Brigadier General, or Sub-Admiral 1. Availability: low buy store. Hull strength 42,000, so definitely a higher hull strength than the Mako, showing its cruiser abilities, but it does have a 1.1 shield modifier, which means it's going to get a little bit of a higher shield capacity. Normally science ships have the higher shield modifier, and typically escorts do not have a shield modifier. This one is kind of low for a shield modifier, but at least it has one. Crew of 400. Let's see what else here. This is different from this. I'm looking in two different places at once. Okay, weapons: 4 fore and 4 aft. 4 device slots, 1 lieutenant tactical, 1 commander engineering. So there's our engineering, esque ship there. Lieutenant commander science, lieutenant commander universal. So you can, assign that to anything. I'm going to use that as my tactical. Console modifications: it's got 3 tactical consoles, 4 engineering, and 3 science. Pretty balanced there, actually. Pretty good on the console end. Base turn rate of 11, so it's not an escort. It's going to turn like a cruiser, but it's still not terrible. Impulse modifier 0.18, inertia 40. It has +5 power to all subsystem power. It has the universal console we just discussed. It has improved hull generation because it is an Undine ship, and those are organically based ships, so they have improved hull. It also, because it's a cruiser, has the cruiser command communications array abilities, shield frequency, strategic maneuvering, weapon system efficiency, and attract fire. So those are all good. It's basically a pretty nice cruiser. Let me see if this says anything different than what I just read. Oh yeah, there is some stuff here. Self-healing hulls. The organic nature of Undine bioships allow their hull to passively regenerate at a higher rate than most starships can be repaired. This increased regenerative capacity offers even more durability at these already formidable vessels. And then the fluidic console set bonus: if you equip this console projector plus the focusing array console from the Mako, you get the ability to negate the weapon power cost associated with firing the focused fluidic beam. Without the bonus, activating this powerful beam weapon will drain 50 weapon power from your vessel. Now that weapon I did use on the Mako. I never really had any negatives from activating it and having that power drain. That never really affected me too much, even after firing it. That power drain, I really never noticed it. That was never really a problem. So this bonus of negating that power drain, not a big bonus in my opinion. And so for that very reason, and also for the very reason that this is just a different ship than that, this is a cruiser, that was an escort, I'm going to fly this on my engineering character. So that means I'm not going to be able to combine the consoles, because the Nakor is on my tactical character, it's an escort, it fits better there. The Dromias is on my engineering character, it's a cruiser, it fits better there. But because they're on separate characters, I cannot combine the consoles, so unfortunately I can't do that. But if you want to go back and view my Nakor videos and see what that focused beam looked like and all that, I'll put a link in the description. You can go back and view the Undine one. But this one I will just use the projector to do the fluidic bubbles, and you'll see what that's all about. So this is actually a really good ship. I've been flying it for a little while now. I wanted to get the build just right, but it's taken me a while. So I'm going to go into the build now. We'll look at how I've done this. As always, typical disclaimer here, there's a million different ways to build your ship. You can build your ship based on different properties or different ways you want to fly it, offensive, defensive. So this is just one possibility. This has worked for me, it may not work for you. So there's that disclaimer out of the way, because I know everybody's got their opinions about builds, right? But here's what I have got on mine. This ship came with fluidic antiproton weaponry. It was only Mark 10 commons, but it was antiproton, and specifically fluidic antiproton, which is a specific set of antiproton weapons. There's also Voth antiprotons, just regular antiprotons, and then of course these fluidic antiprotons. Now, because it came with that, I said, okay, let's do something different than I did with the Nakor. With the Nakor ship, I used the counter command reputation, this reputation right here, and I got all of the counter command space gear that you could get with that ship. All that stuff, which I do not have on this character, by the way, but I did get that on my tactical character, because I wanted to show the Nakor with all the counter command stuff for the first time. Now that counter command stuff is very specific to the type of energy weaponry that it buffs. It's either phaser or disruptor. So I had to go with phaser on that character, and phaser actually fit well on that character because I already had a bunch of phaser energy type weapons for another build on that character. He was using the Andorian stuff before that, the Andorian phasers, because he had an Andorian Kumari before that. So that fit really well on that character. On this one, I don't have any of the counter command stuff. So I said, well, let's just go ahead then and stick with antiprotons on this ship. Let's do that. It came with fluidic antiprotons. Let's fly it with fluidic antiprotons for a change. And instead of using, there are no fleet variants of fluidic antiproton weapons. That's a shame. But there are very rare Mark 12 level, as you can see here. They have accuracy. I chose specifically accuracy ×2 and damage as my modifiers. But these, I simply bought these off the exchange. They cost a bit of money, energy credits, and it took me a while to get enough. Basically, it's just a lot of grinding to get enough energy credits to buy them. But I was able to do that, and that's another reason why it took a little bit longer for this ship, is I needed to buy all of this weaponry that I didn't have, and that just took time to get all that. So what I'm using, what I decided to go with is make it a beam ship. It's a cruiser, it turns a little slower, its beam ship felt right for it. So I put 2 fluidic antiproton beam array Mark 12 accuracy ×2 damage on the front, and then I also put a dual beam bank for a little extra punch, because the dual beam bank always does more DPS than a single beam, so just a little more punch there in the front, and I am able to turn around fast enough in it to do that damage, and then 2 beams in the back. So you're going to see what this looks like in space. I'm going to show you here at the end of the video what these beams look like. Pretty cool effects. Antiproton, we'll look at all the DPS and everything in space, but just a little bit of info on them. They fire a series of average beam weapons. Yeah, we know that. Fluidic antiproton weapons have a chance to repel your enemy while dealing a small amount of physical damage that ignores shields. So that's what makes fluidic antiproton different from antiproton. They repel enemy while dealing a small amount of physical damage that ignores shields. So that's a very positive effect of the fluidic antiproton weapons. I'm also flying fluidic antiproton cannons on a Klingon character of mine, and I'm really liking the fluidic antiproton cannons. They're not just visually impressive, but they actually do a lot of damage. Naturally, because they're antiproton, they also do the crit stuff a lot. They're real antiprotons are big on crits. Basically, if you want to buff antiprotons, think crits. Alright, as for the rest of the design, obviously to buff the antiprotons as much as I could, because that's the build I went with, I'm having to use the Obelisk Subspace Rift Core, in addition to the Omnidirectional Antiproton Beam Array as well. Those two pieces combine, and you get a set 2 bonus that gives you plus 10% antiproton damage. So that buffs our antiproton damage right there. Plus, this beam is a 360-degree beam anyway, so no matter where my ship's pointed, it's going to fire, and it's antiproton based. So perfect fit. And then, of course, I'm using the Kinetic cutting beam. It's also 360 degrees, so it doesn't matter where I'm firing at. And it also does a lot of DPS. And it's combined with the Universal Assimilated Module. And what am I using? Yes, the Omega Plasma Torpedo as well, from the Borg set. So what that gets me is a 2-piece bonus called Omega Weapon Amplifier. It's going to give me more weapon power and weapon power resistance. But then also the set 3 bonus from that is a 1-point chance to basically make me immune to damage. And it procs quite easily. It does it quite a bit, you'll notice. So it's a good ability, and all 3 of those together. Now for my space set, I went ahead, and because it's a cruiser and I don't have the counter command stuff. If I had the counter command, deflector, impulse, and shield, I might try that instead. But I don't have that on this character. But what I do have is the Mako and adapted Mako set. And that's a good set for getting a lot of shield capacity, especially using the adapted Mako covariant shield. You can see right there, 9274 shield capacity. And then I can buff that up some more and get that much higher. That's going to give me a lot of shield capacity. And on a cruiser type ship, shield capacity, covariant shield capacity, very important. But then for the impulse and the deflector, I actually went with Mako instead of adapted Mako, even though I have them. And that's just because the stats on the Mako versus adapted Mako are a little bit better for a cruiser ship. Improved shield healing, improved ship hit points, and shield hit points. So my health and my shield are a little bit higher just because of that deflector. Improves power transfer rate, resist, hold, disable, knock, repel, slow. Plus the 2-piece bonus for this is useful as well. The magnetoplasma relays. You get a power recharge speed and resist shield drain and energy drain. On top of that, the Borg love to use shield drain and energy drain, or at least shield drain. So that is basically how I went. Of course, you could go a lot differently with that ship. With this ship, I think the counter command stuff would fit quite well on this ship. And if I had it, I would try it, but I don't right now. So this works well as an engineer cruiser build. Now, as for my consoles, this is the unique one that comes with the ship. This is the Fluidic Conduit Projector, and I'm going to show you how it works. But basically, you shoot it off into space, and those dreadful Undine puddles come through that you just absolutely hate flying through when you're doing the Undine battlezone. You know, those puddles that slow your ship down and you can't turn and go anywhere. Yeah, I can do that now. I can do that to people, and that's awesome. So I'm going to show you how that works. I'm using my enhanced neutronium fleet level for energy resistance, plus it improves my ship hit points because it's a cruiser. I want to get that up as high as possible. I never leave home with it. Never leave home without EPs. Now this one is unique. This one is actually from the Nukara reputation. The reason I'm using this, well, is because, and I learned this only recently, but now I know it, and it is that ability, improve exotic damage, my fluidic antiproton, my fluidic conduit projector is considered an exotic damage ability. So any ways that I can improve exotic damage, which you usually find on science ships, is useful to this fluidic projector. So this console does a lot of things that's useful to me on a cruiser and a science ship. Number one, it's going to give me more shield power. I'll take that. Number two, it's going to resist shield drain and energy drain. I like that. Number three, it's going to improve exotic damage. Now, if you're a science vessel, this is real important because a lot of your abilities are exotic damage. But this is also useful because of my fluidic projector. Now, normally I would not use this on a cruiser because I don't use exotic damage abilities on a cruiser. This is the first time that I've pretty much used an exotic damage ability on a cruiser, and that's with that projector. So it's actually useful. That is not going to waste. And then also it's giving me plus 10% accuracy with beam weapons. And what is this ship if not all beam weapons? So this console helps me in every single way. Again, this is from the new car Reputation. You can get it from grinding that. It's a great console. In every science ship should have it. And now, if you're a cruiser ship that is using exotic damage, it's beneficial. So I like this console a lot. So I had to have that on there. I'm also using two shield capacity consoles. Again, a cruiser, I want to get my shield capacity as high as possible. And of course, you got to max out your tactical consoles with the Fleet Spire version of the, whatever energy type you're using, which I'm using Antiproton here, so I'm getting the most Antiproton damage that I can boosted there. And I got 3 critical severity ones, so my critical severity should be pretty high. So that's my basic setup. I'm building it as a cruiser, as an engineer, as antiprotons, and I think I've done a pretty good job of that. Seems to be doing pretty well, at least. Now let's look at the stations. This thing does not have as many stations as you would think. It's only got 4 bridge officer seats, so that's not a lot. Most cruisers or other ships, cruisers would have like 5 seats. One of them may only be an ensign seat, but at least it would have 5. This one's only got 4. It limits you a little bit. And it does, it does have a commander engineering. So again, this fits really well on an engineer character. So I'm using my Liberated Borg as my engineer character. She's a Liberated Borg. Okay, that's kind of self-explanatory. I was trying to think of. I literally just had a brain fart there. I was trying to think, what is she? And I put it in the name. She's a Liberated Borg. But that gives you some bonuses because she's got like traits that are associated with her, like some kind of efficiency trait or something. Anyway, now I'm just getting off topic a little bit. But I don't know if I've ever shown you all this. The efficient trait is what it is. Improves power levels. So having her on your commissioned on your ship will help your power levels. Basically, it will raise your power levels, give you more power levels, gives you more power. So I like to have her always on all my ships. Anyway, I'm off topic. Here we go, back on topic. Alright, Liberated Borg and engineering abilities. Emergency power to engines 1, engineering team 2, emergency power to weapons 3. You will be surprised how much that adds DPS to your weapons. And if you're using beams, you need all that you can get because beams are just flat out weaker than cannons. Directed energy modulation 3 to help me punch through their shields. Now I am using the universal lieutenant commander slot as my tactical slot because otherwise all I'd have access to is 2 tactical stations here. So I definitely wanted to use this for tactical to give me more tactical abilities. Beam Array Fire at Will 3, Torpedo High Yield 2, Tactical Team 1, Beam Array Overload 1, which now they've changed. It's more useful now. It didn't used to be as useful, but now it crits every time you use it. Every single time you use Beam Overload, it crits. So Beam Overload is now more of a useful feature. In fact, Beam Overload 3 would probably be pretty powerful now. Torpedo Spread 2, and then I'm using the Science Station for heals, Science Team 1, and Hazard Emitters. So that's my basic setup. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of options to play with there. It's kind of simple, really. but simple in a good way. I mean, it gets you what you need. I haven't really had a problem with my power, you know, my powers and everything there. So now at this point, we're going to beam into space, take a look at the ship, and then after we do that, we will do a little bit of battle with it, so I can show you its abilities. And then, of course, we'll do separate Borg STF videos with it. But we'll look at all the all the stats here in space, because that's where we can see our numbers. Before we do that, though, here's a good look at it. We'll zoom in. We'll zoom in real close here. You can see the texturing on it. Let's see, do I have my shield? Yeah, visuals turned off. So this is what it looks like natively. Let's turn the deflector visual off as well. And let's turn impulse visual off as well. There we go. Now we can see what it looks like natively. Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's the front of it right there. Very interesting design on it. Very organic. They did a really good job on the texturing here and the coloring. This looks really unique. Definitely not a Federation ship. This is a very unique looking ship in Star Trek Online. It seems a little weird to fly it because it's so like got this huge open mouth in the front of it. You almost want to kind of turn it around and fly it the other way. You know, have the big part on the back instead of the big part on the front. But you get used to it. It kind of rolls as it turns. I like that. Kind of hard to tell which way is up or down on it, which makes sense. I kind of like that idea. Come into the sun here, get some light on it. There we go. Zoom in again. That's what it looks like. So it's very cool. I have my visuals from that on as well. Let's turn that off. All those visuals on. There we go. Yeah, very cool looking. Now let's see what happens when we turn on the Mako shield. Visuals. It makes it more shiny and more reflective. And it also adds this like carbon fiber look. It's hard, it may be hard for you guys to see, but there's this carbon fiber look like right here and then right here on the arms of this thing. Enabling that Mako shield kind of gives it that carbon fiber type look. Makes it look a little more technological than organic. Takes a little bit of the organic out of it. Makes this part of it here look definitely mechanical rather than organic. So the shields, the effects do change quite a bit. Do change its looks quite a bit. But you can obviously experiment with different shields and all that to make it look even more different. That's what it looks like. So let's go over my stats, and we can see where this thing's at. Right now you can see my power. I'm at 123 weapon, 86 shield, pretty high, 49 engine, 54 auxiliary. Now that auxiliary power will help the fluidic projector, which I can't use right now until I'm in combat, but this is the fluidic rift right here. The auxiliary power will help this ability. If you can buff up your auxiliary power as much as you can before you enable this, you'll do more damage with your fluidic rifts. So auxiliary power and exotic damage are important for the fluidic rift ability. As you can see, you target a foe and then you enable it, and it summons a fluidic rift within 2 kilometers of your target. It pulls the enemies closer. It releases fluidic puddles. After 30 seconds, the rift explodes, dealing 9,000 kinetic damage to all enemies within 1 kilometer. The fluidic puddles will wander randomly near the rift that spawned them. They reduce enemy flight speed, turn rate, and accuracy for 10 seconds, and they cause 219 plasma damage to the enemies every half second. And they dissipate after 30 seconds. I actually used this quite a lot on the crystalline entity during that event, and it was actually useful. I mean, it did something, I guess. But yeah, that's what the unique ability of this ship is. My crew complement is 400, crew recovery rate is 50%, alive crew 400, my power transfer rate is almost 200%. Here's the good stuff. My hull is at 63,000. Remember, hull was only 42,000 default, so everything I'm using to buff up my hull, I got it to 63,000. That's not bad. 65 to 70 is probably like It's pretty much like the highest you can go. So getting this up there is pretty good. Well, you could probably go higher. I guess if all you put on here consoles were, you know, things to buff up your hull, just nothing but that, you could probably get it higher than 70,000. But I don't think I've ever exceeded 70,000. I might have, maybe a little bit, but somewhere around there is where I've capped off at. So 63 is not terrible. Hull repair rate is near 150%. My shields, you see, are at 17,000 capacity because I've got 2 of these going, plus the covariant, the adapted Mako. My resists are pretty high, almost 40%, which I'm liking that a lot. That definitely helps with that. My accuracy is 25%. This again is helping my accuracy, and then I have accuracy on all my weapons. My crit severity, just like I thought, is pretty high, 83%. Now my crit chance is very low. I might benefit me to have to replace these with critical chance instead of critical severity, because yeah, that's pretty low. However, remember with beam overload, I'm going to crit all the time anyway, so maybe it's not too bad. If I used beam overload all the time, then this would be the right way to go. You'd want to get your crit severity up as high as possible, because you would crit every time you do beam overload. Alright, movement. So remember, it was 11 degrees per second, so let's go to max thrusters here. 14.2 is where I'm at, so I've got it going a little over the default turn rate right now. So not too bad. So here's how it will turn. Basically, we'll keep the camera steady right here, and here we go. We'll turn the ship. Zoom out a little. There we go. That's the turn rate. We'll let it come all the way back around just so you can get an idea. Now that's obviously without doing, you know, anything special. I have available to me evasive maneuvers and emergency power to engines. Just to demonstrate again how much both of these combined help you turn, watch this. Combine both of these and you're really gonna turn fast. So I have the ability to do that when these are not on cooldown. So I can turn pretty fast or move pretty fast if I need to. What else special here? There's nothing really else special. This is the Nukara ability. This is the Romulan ability. So the only native ability of this ship is that Fluidic Rift. That's what makes that kind of special. Plus, I guess, just the ability that you're flying an Undine ship, which is pretty cool. The whole regeneration rate, or the whole, not sure where that, I guess that shows up in the whole repair rate. Remember, it's an Undine ship. I'm getting a little bit more hull healing on it. So I guess that's where that would show up. So near 150% hull repair rate. Let's look at my weapon powers. The fluidic antiproton arrays are only doing 936 DPS, so you can see a lot lower than cannons, but actually not terrible DPS. I mean, it's near 1,000. That's pretty good. That's probably about close to the best you can get for beams anyway. 936, and the antiproton damage is actually higher, 1170 antiproton damage. Then the dual beam bank, you see, does 1217 DPS and then 1521 antiproton damage, so a lot better there. 936, that would be 936. The omnidirectional one does 930, so it's kind of pretty much on par with a beam weapon anyway. Not really losing much there with the omnidirectional one. And then the kinetic cutting beam is over 1,000, so it's actually better than the beams. That's right. The kinetic cutting beam is doing more DPS than the beams, and this also does kinetic damage. It does 15 to kinetic damage. Now watch this. These are at 936, right? Watch what happens when I hit emergency power to weapons 3. They go from 936 to 1087, and the antiproton damage is at 1359. So definitely worth it to use emergency power to weapons, and 3 is the highest level. That's basically just going to give me more weapon damage, and on a beam ship it is definitely helpful. Now if I'm going to fire the fluidic proton beam, I'm not going to do it now because it'll take cooldown is too long. What I would want to do is, because I'm a engineer ship, I have this EPS power transfer, which is going to increase my power settings. I also have a red matter, but if you didn't have the red matter thing, let's say you didn't get that, you know, that version of the game or whatever to get that. If you're an engineer character, you will have EPS power transfer. That will increase your auxiliary damage. So what you'll want to do is use your EPS stuff first, hit that button, and you'll see your auxiliary go up, and then use it to do the fluidic and the fluidic rift, and that will do more damage that way. Because remember, auxiliary power will make it better. So now that we have all that in hand, let's go quickly look at the bridge. I always forget to do this. I know that, but I remember now. So let's do it now. Let's go look at the bridge. After we look at the bridge, then we'll go and do a couple of things in Tal'Dayah. We'll do some battle like we usually do, just to show you the ability and show you how it works. Here we go. Come on. The load times to the bridge, sometimes they take a very long time. I do not understand why. Sometimes they'll take a long time even after you've already loaded it, and you go back into the game and then you load it again and it'll be slow again. Don't understand that. But nothing I can do except sit here and wait. And I believe we looked at the Nakor bridge. Yeah, we did. It's it's pretty much the same as the bridge on the Nakor. Very organic, very Undine. You'll look at it and you'll see consoles on the walls and consoles on the ceiling, because they don't live in an oxygen environment. I guess they kind of float or fly around in their ships, because they're like in fluidic stuff. So they actually operate consoles all over the walls and the ceilings, because there is no up and down basically on this ship. That's really what you need to keep in mind. There's no up and down. You know, what's right side up, right side down, who knows. You can access library files here. We can access account bank. You can select a small craft and access your bank. The screen, I actually realized in the last video, is actually kind of like just kind of floating in the middle. There's actually room behind it, so it's not really like a window view screen. It's like a view screen, and their bridge is like inside the ship, just like the Voth. So their bridge is not, you know, on the outside of the ship like the Federation. Contact duty officers. That's about all you can do here. You can't go anywhere or do anything, unfortunately. I wish there was more of the ship to explore, but I didn't know you could go up here. And that's as far as we can go. So, yeah. That is the bridge. Let's leave ship interior. Now let's go to Tal'Dayah, do some stuff. Let's do some fun stuff. I'm going to do the two standard ones I usually do, just cause.
Jolan True, your efforts, security, strength.
I was thinking about other places to show off battle in these videos, you know, just to give you guys a preview of, you know, how the abilities on a ship works and everything. If you've got any ideas of other places that I could test that at, let me know. You know, I do the Kararia system, and I do Japori right now, just because it's easy enemies to fight and I can show off the abilities. But if you guys have some better ideas of where I could go to really, you know, show these ships off and look at their abilities and features and all that in some battle, something that can go pretty quickly, leave your comments and let me know what that might be. I'll investigate doing different things. Alright, so what we're going to do now is I want to show off the fluidic rift. That's the main thing about this ship, right? So let's show off the fluidic rift ability. Like I said, let's buff it up here, get my auxiliary power going. Now let's activate it. That's what it does. It creates a rift, and pretty powerful. It draws them in. And there's the puddles, and the puddles will slow them down, stop them, and the puddles I don't know if they'll affect me, but I try to stay away from them. And you can see they're doing damage. It's doing damage to the ships, and I haven't even fired on them yet. I guess the Romulans are, but I haven't done anything to them yet. And then this should expire and do damage. I want to wait for it to expire. Okay, it just expired. And now these will just dissipate after some time. They'll dissipate, you know, after 30 seconds, I think it said. So the rift already expired, and yeah, now those are going away. That's all that does. That's all that does. Watch this crit. There we go. See, it's critting. It's a critting. So you can see the fluidic antiproton beams, kind of yellowish, goldish in color. I'm kind of taking my time right now. I'm not really fighting with all my abilities and stuff. I'm just trying to show you, let you take it all in. Save it for the next round, for the next one. Okay, let's use it on these guys here. It'll suck them in good. There we go. We got it working on multiple ships there.
Target shield has failed.
Here come the puddles. Let it get to them before I fire on them. There we go. Let's see if they affect me when I fly through them. No, I think I'm immune to them. They don't do anything to me, so I'm immune to the puddles. That's good. So there you go. That gives you a little bit of an idea. We'll do one more, and I'll try to go all out on that one. I want to use the fluidic rift again, though, so need to wait for the cooldown on it. That's the unique ability. I haven't used this ship in a lot of different things yet. I did the crystalline entity event. I did grinding on that a lot. I've done some Borg STFs, but I haven't done them recently, so I'm a little out of practice on this ship in them. But I'm trying to think of where the fluidic rift puddle thing would actually be useful in the Borg STFs, you know, and I'm having a hard time. I guess on the tactical ships, I guess I could use it on the gate. I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out. And that's really the key with this special feature is, you know, what things, you know, benefit from it the most. Just have to experiment with it. Might do an Undine battlezone. We'll see.
Target shield has failed.
Would not die. I'll use the projector on the last screen. There you go, folks. That is a preliminary look at the Dromias Bio-Cruiser. I like it a lot, actually. It's a pretty neat ship, pretty fun to fly. The fluidic projector is good. It's got a 3-minute cooldown, a little long. You have to wait for it, but when it does its stuff, it's actually pretty cool. And I guess if you had a lot of ships, you know, that you use it on, it probably is more beneficial for a lot of ships than just one. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. This is a good ship. I like the Nakora, and I like this one. So far, these two Undine ships are very high up on my like list. So what I'm going to do next is we'll do some Borg Elite STFs. We'll do the whole thing, ICSC case. After that, who knows if I have time or need to. I may do something else with it, but we'll at least do that. Yeah, I may do the an Undine battlezone just so we can see how it does against its own foe, the Undine. I'm curious myself. All those fluidic puddles, though. Gosh, I hate those. But maybe I don't think I'm immune to when they do it. I'm only immune to when I project the fluidic puddles myself. But I would not be immune, I do not think, to if the Undine do that to me. Anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of this ship, if you might be interested in it, kind of ship you like. And yeah, just interested in your opinion, especially that fluidic ability of it. Alright, let me know what you think, and stay tuned for the next one.